We're now going to turn to the nomination of Doug McCaleb to serve as the Chief Agricultural Negotiator within the Office of the United States Trade Representative. He brings vast experience to this job. Nearly 30 years of public service before him, including in a variety of roles focused on ag policy and the well-being of rural communities in America. He's now a top advisor to the Assistant Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Vilsack on Trade, Ag Safety, National Security, and other issues. He's hosted in several other leadership positions at the Department of Agriculture with the Domestic Policy Council, and his service there has been exemplary. A lot of fans on both sides of the committee, and his nomination comes at a key time. As our nominee knows, our families are understandably furious about the proposition that they're paying more for groceries and they're getting less. Farmers and ranchers are being oppressed by drought and hammered by increased costs. Across the world, people are desperate at the prospect of widespread hunger as crops fail and basic food items are in short supply. War, climate change, all of this compounded by short-sighted trade policies and supply chain disruptions have created fear all over the world about the possibility of a 21st century hunger catastrophe. Now, the Finance Committee has authority over one key part of how we're going to wrestle this crisis to the ground: a smart trade policy that promotes affordable, abundant food here at home and abroad. This policy, no pressure, Mr. Nominee, it's got to support our farmers and ranchers and allow for maximum production by busting through trade barriers and lowering costs for key inputs like fertilizer. It's also got to focus on opening and expanding export markets to ensure our farmers can continue to do what they do best, keeping the world fed. This ag negotiator position is essential because we have got to insist on the elimination of foreign regulations that hamper food distribution wherever it takes place because, and this is what it's all about, that's what you got to do to reduce hunger. The ag trade negotiator's got other responsibilities for ensuring American interests in trade agreements are met. To that point, the Trump administration rushed the new USMCA into effect, and Canada and Mexico are failing to live up to key commitments. For example, Canada is propping up barriers to our dairy products. Mexico is unfairly blocking American-grown corn and soybeans. Pretty much a similar story with respect to China. The Trump administration grabbed lots of headlines when it was interested in a new trade deal, but it failed to set up real enforcement and let many of the Chinese government's key trade ripoffs just go unscathed, unaddressed. China has failed to meet its commitments to import American agricultural products, only buying 58% of the total goods and services that it agreed to buy in 2021. That's less than it was buying before the Trump trade policy and the trade war was launched. U.S. farmers are telling us they don't want handouts. They want real opportunities to sell their products around the world. And as I told the nominee, that can only happen if this position and the policies advanced lead to finally a level playing field. That's the bottom line. The committee is also interested in discussing how our farmers and ranchers can benefit from the new Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, and if confirmed, our nominee will play a key role in these issues. I want to thank our nominee for joining us, for his willingness to continue his career in public service. I mentioned he's been fighting for farmers for decades, and farmers and ranchers know of your work. We appreciate the chance to have you here, and we'll have questions and answers after your statements. Senator Crapo.